I'm Phil Lipoff in Lublin, Poland. For the better part of 2 weeks, we have been watching a humanitarian crisis unfold here, growing exponentially by the day. Today is the first day we have heard that those lines at the border crossings might be getting a bit shorter. Still, Poland's president says there are 700,000 Ukrainian refugees here in Poland alone, most women and children. The trauma of this war, their lives changing in an instant. And this is only just beginning. They are coming by the hundreds of thousands, escaping, in many cases, the only place they've ever known. At the Dorohusk border crossing in southeastern Poland, a constant flow of refugees, most waiting for days to get to safety. More than a week after Ukraine was attacked, Russian forces continue to move toward major cities as Ukrainians continue to pack train stations and buses, any way to get out. More civilian areas reportedly coming under fire. The UN says more than 1 million people have fled Ukraine, the vast majority here in Poland, mostly women and children. Take a look at what's happening here. This is a humanitarian crisis. Women and children have left their husbands, brothers, and fathers back in Ukraine because they are needed to fight the Russians in their country.
For him, it's like
Oksana made it to Lublin with her 2 children, Vlad, 19, and Anastasia, 22, who had to cancel her wedding, scheduled just days after the shelling started. Her fiancé still in Ukraine. Vlad is of fighting age, but he's had heart surgery, so he was allowed to leave. Through tears, Oksana shows us that inspirational spirit sweeping across her country, the desire to help, protect, defend, and possibly die.
if they say, okay, give me your life, and you can get your children and your woman in life for free. I'm ready to die for them, but I can't help because I know that it's my life, it's nothing now.
An unimaginable thing to say. So many children's lives upended, unable to comprehend why they have to leave home or why their fathers have to stay and fight. 7-year-old Varvara here with her mother. She loves cats. Especially this cat. She couldn't leave behind, just across the border, holding Bagheera tightly with both arms. 90 minutes from the border in Lublin, Ukrainians gather in the square, singing and waving their country's flag. At City Hall, these women singing their national anthem as they hold their children close. Olia is here with her 2 children, Alexander and Ariana.
Oni wszystko wie. Moja córka, ona wie, co w Ukrainie, ona mówi, mama, tato będzie żył? Mama, gdzie tato? Mama, czemu nie ma tata? Mama, kiedy przyjdzie do nas tato? Mama, ja chcę do domu, ja chcę do tata. Mama, tato teraz trzyma automat, oni wszystko wie.
Understandably, Olia struggles to answer those questions. These refugees face so many challenges, escaping the war, crossing the border, finding shelter here in freezing cold temperatures. And our Marcus Moore has been following reports of non-Ukrainian refugees facing discrimination at borders.
Even at this train station, adding to the trauma for many of these refugees, there was a group of roughly 100 or so who actually marauded through the streets, and according to witnesses, they harassed and attacked many of the non-white refugees. There's been no report of injuries, but it does give you a sense of the many layers of this humanitarian crisis that is unfolding here.
Our observation is that these are not state policies, but there are instances in which it has happened, that there's been a different treatment.
Once across the border, what happens next? Some have family and friends here. Others have nothing and no one. This family of 7, 4 generations with nowhere to go. Within hours, offered a ride to a makeshift shelter. We traveled with them an hour north. And we came to this, a building owned by the Forest Service. We are just across the river from Belarus. We understand private citizens are allowed to use this for a makeshift shelter. Beds line the walls. This will now be home indefinitely. Incredible compassion here after such intense cruelty there. The refugee crisis growing by the day, something Boris Israelovich never thought he'd see. Forced to travel here from Kyiv, he's moving slowly, 82 years old, telling us about his father who died in 1941 fighting the Nazis on the Ukrainian front. Now, he's forced to flee the country his father died defending. In a soft but stern voice, he tells me, Vladimir Putin is a terrible man. And that's a nice way to put it. Most of what we hear here about Vladimir Putin, we cannot repeat on television. Getting here is one thing, crossing the border, tough enough, but now being here and understanding that this is life for the foreseeable future as you continuously worry about the men left behind to fight and defend that country, well, that's another trauma entirely. Terry, Kira?
You know, Phil, thank you for that. And it is, you bring home to us that fate that they're living right now and how dark it is. But on the other side, we see it, that sense of welcome almost, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of refugee crises in recent years where sometimes they aren't welcome, where sometimes they're stranded in tent cities or worse, sleep in the rough. It looks like the people of Poland and other Western European nations are really taking them in, that everybody has a place to go in this terrible time.
Terry, you're right. In Poland specifically, everybody we've spoken to say these are our brothers and sisters coming across the border. There are people coming from all over Eastern Europe. They're getting cars and going to the border to drive refugees to anywhere they need to go and give them a place to stay. Terry, I want to just tell you about something that we are going to show a little bit more of. Oksana, who you saw in that story, we caught up with today. She and her daughter were telling us that it's going to be months, it could be years before they get back to their country, but they are hoping they get back there. And at one point during our interview, Oksana actually fell to her knees and put her hands together like this and said, I am praying for you. Thank you, Poland. Thank you, everybody here, for taking us in and doing what you're doing. So, I mean, the emotion that we saw, it is being felt by the refugees here in Poland.
Humbling all of us.
For sure.
At
for
home.
Sure. We can all do more, can do something. And Phil, we thank you for what you're doing there. And thanks for being with us.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.